Hello traders, and first of all, I hope that you're all keeping well and keeping safe. What was I going to say? Obviously, we're in another lockdown in the UK, so your main priority should be, looking after yourselves, looking after your family, and most importantly, just keeping safe. So, yeah. Also, I'd like to apologise if I sound a little bit lethargic in this video. I'm not feeling the best, to be honest, but and I know my voice is a little bit boring anyway, so I hope that you get as much value from this video as possible, but I'll try to keep it nice and short. So CAD yen, as we're already on it, we'll just talk about it. So if you think about the bias, so the bias on this pair is obviously from the 4 hour. What we can see is we broke this structure, created this successful retrace which broke structure, right? Obviously whatever's here is noise because we still got imbalance that needs to be filled and no B. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Now with this retrace that's been filled successfully, we obviously know that price is going to go bullish. Okay, that's on confirmation of trend. And in terms of refining, so this should be your bread and butter by now, so it should be fairly simple. So I'm not going to go through the time frames because you guys should already know how to do that. If you haven't, then you haven't watched all the previous videos. Well, pretty much every video. We can see that we have a POI sitting here. I don't know why I did the box so big there, but that was where I wanted price to tap. Before I looked for going long on this pair. This pair was really annoying because it missed my first order. So I was actually on the 32nd at this point because I want to get in, as soon as possible. No, we had this impulse, and then we had the successful retrace, and then it went and broke structure. Now the break of structure, obviously. The move originated from here. There's nothing really clear for me to say there's anything here, but price never came back to the POI, so it never happened. But then what I did, I went to the 1 minute, and what we can see is obviously an impulse, the retrace, and now this was a successful impulse from here, and that was the retrace. Now I didn't pay attention to the fact that we got a liquidity wick, which I could have used, but I didn't have much confidence in that anyway. But then we broke structure again, but there wasn't a clear POI, place to put an order. I could have put it here, but I think price is pretty much mitigated, so I didn't bother putting it in. So at this point, price just carried on going. But the main thing, you shouldn't really worry about missing the trade at this point, because you should be thinking more along the lines of sorry, I went too far. You should be thinking more along the lines that you can just go through the time frames, because remember, price is fractal, so you're going to go from lower time frame to higher time frame until you find your desired entry, right? Because this is still a safe entry. Okay, we have a pullback. Okay, this impulse, successful retracement because it broke structure that the impulse created, and we've got POI sitting here. And then obviously we're going to refine that. So I think I did 30-second on this one, yeah. So the 30-second time frame, and that was where the order was, and it was a 2-pip stop. Obviously I wouldn't put it any tighter. The spread is rubbish on this pair. And in terms of target, so if I just play it out where it is at the moment, so the first target, if we go to the hourly, the first target was the hourly high, because if you're thinking about it in terms of structure, we obviously created this low, then we've got this hourly high that it needs to break. Once it breaks this, and then if we get a retrace, that will confirm that price will continue going bullish. So I'm expecting price to pull back. I don't know how far it come. It may come to somewhere about here where the imbalance actually is. I'm not sure, but I've already taken partials at this point, taking it at this first structural break. Coming back into 2021, I'm taking things a little bit easy to get myself back into the swing of it. And you did make sure you pay yourself, because I took 2 break evens yesterday, and it's not nice. Well, it's not that it's not nice because I didn't lose, but it's more on to make sure I'm paying myself. So that was a breakdown of that, and the overall TP is that 4-hour high, which is here. So if price obviously it should continue bullish given what we have in this situation. I didn't actually look at any higher time frame from this, but But yeah, we can see price is bullish. Actually, I must have, because I marked this out. So I must have done that whenever, I don't know. I don't really look at this pair, but yeah. So that was a breakdown of CAD yen. The trade I took this morning was GBP USD. So I'm still waiting for my bias, which is from here. Looking to go long, but if you turn the sessions on, which is here, and if you go 15 minutes, so this trade was done via the daily pip cycle. Now, one person asked to explain the daily pip cycle. I'm going to tell you now, I won't do that because that is already in the video. You should know how to do this by now. You just have to watch the video again. In terms of the daily pip cycle, obviously we can see it's simple. You're just marking out the Asian range that was formed. That was the low, that was the high. We just need a break of either one of these. That wick break doesn't count. Remember, for me, it doesn't. I need to have a body break. So we had a body break here. So I went straight to the 1 minute. Now, at this point, I went too far, sorry. Now, at this point, what can we see is obviously we've got this impulse, right? But we did break this structure. So that was the impulse, and this was the retrace. And that was a successful retrace that went on to break the structure of the impulsive high, right? Of this high that was created, right? So that was a successful impulse. Number 2, remember, because that was number 1. That's number 2 to confirm the shift in trend. Okay, that's all we're looking for, right? So I put my order here, but price didn't get there. Well, what happened was we had this small pullback and then a break of structure again. Now, with this being said, what I did was I placed 2 orders. So, which I've mentioned before, is because I've got, this is a clear POI for me, and so is that one. So either one, I could have, if this one failed, it probably would have reacted to this one. I would have been fine. I don't care that if I lost that first one, because I know I'll probably make something from this trade. There's more confluence in my favor. Now, in terms of what you could have done, actually, if you wanted, you could have put your stop loss below. But for me, a 10 pip stop, that's far too big. There's no point me even entering the trade because the RR is terrible. But yeah, so we move. So we entered the trade and it actually went perfectly, to be fair. I can't really complain. I'll tell you where I exited. It was fairly straightforward in terms of the exit criteria, because what it is, price was already bearish, right? And what can we see is my first target that I was targeting was this high. So that's when I took my partials. And then I saw, obviously I wanted to take the Asian high, which is what I would have wanted to do, to be fair. But what I saw is price, obviously there's an OB here that came and broke structure. There's no reason for price not to react, because that's the impulsive low. And that's the successful retracement that broke structure. So price can react. And what we see here, and this is where I exited, is we created a low, then a retrace, but obviously it almost broke, but didn't. For me, it didn't. That was a retrace and it came and broke structure, right? And then I exited on the pullback towards this OB. So I waited for that and then I exited the trade. So I took 15 on that, so 30% for me. But what we see price actually did is actually come back to this OB anyway and then hit TP. So that's another thing you could hold. Just be patient, hold your price, because you never know what's going to happen. And if you got a good reason for it, there's no reason not to have it. But I had to delete the order anyway at this point. And I already made 30%, so I don't really care. But yeah, just showing you that patience does pay. I meant, sorry. But yeah, that was that. GBP, yeah, this one. So this one was fairly straightforward in the sense that where is price? Okay, it's probably heading to the POI up here. If we think about it from this point of view, is so we already seen the POI where it is. Let me get rid of sessions because it looks disgusting. So in terms of what's happening, where's price? Oh, there it is. Okay, so obviously this morning when I sent it in the group, that was the first POI, that was the second. The reason why, if you go to the 5 minute, what can we see? If we were to just zoom in, if we just zoom into this bit, Right, so we can see the first POI is obviously here. That was where the imbalance was and before the move. Obviously there's no clear OB here, but there's a lot of mitigation that's going on here anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if price reacted here. I can actually delete that now because it keeps going off. But that was the ideal POI for me because that's the cleanest one and it's the one that originated the first move. So that would have been good to take, to be fair. But price reacted anyway, and if we go to the 1 minute, so price reacted to the first POI, right, so it reacted and then it dropped. Now it wasn't really creating a successful retrace as such, but what can we see is, because I would have wanted a bigger retrace than this little one, so I was being a little bit more patient. Then I saw this impulsive retrace and then a break of structure, so I assumed that this was the one. Again, if this was wrong, then that would have been the POI to use, which would have been fine. And this entry was actually refined down to the 15-second time frame, which was here. So that was where my entry was. So it's fairly straightforward, to be fair. Remember, from what I taught in the Zoom, that's literally all you're looking for. And your entry is just the OB. You're just looking for that impulse, retrace, successful retrace, and then break of structure. That's all you need. And so yeah, I took my partials, added to low, because that's the obvious one to take, and then I just held, but price came and took me out at break even for the remainder. So I think I took about 6R on this one, so 12%. So yeah, not too bad. I don't think I took any other trades. Let me just check quickly. Did I take anything else? CAD yen I done, GJ I done, GU I done. Yeah, so I just want to address the fact that obviously when I send in a trade, nothing, from you can see in the breakdowns, and every single breakdown, my entries are the same. There's no difference, okay, and everything can be easily repeated. But bear in mind, my chart experience is probably, and I'm not trying to sound big-headed, but it's probably a lot more than some of yours, which is why I can spot these things far quicker. But in terms of chart experience, it's something that I can't give you, so that has to come from you, to be fair. So yeah, and before, if I post a trade, please don't ask for a breakdown. I will do it anyway. You don't need to ask for it. Just be patient. There's a lot of breakdowns there that you can watch. You don't need the exact one. And what I suggest doing is obviously trying to work it out yourself as well before you get it handed to you, because in order to learn, you obviously need to try and work it out yourself. You're going to get the breakdown anyway, so don't feel that you need to ask those questions. But yeah, I think that was everything. I'm not looking at anything else. I know some of you took a NU long short somewhere. I don't know where that was. I assume it was either this one or this one. Where's the fifth? Yeah, it's this one. I don't know how that went. GBP USDs, obviously I've done. GA, it broke our structure, so I'm not really looking at it at the moment. I mean, if it'll go from an hourly point of view, broke structure, we could look for a POI somewhere up here, because we've got this impulsive nature, retrace, a break of structure, so somewhere here. But again, I'm not really looking at that. The spread on this pair is not great. I only looked for this pair because I couldn't see anything else. Nothing else is jumping out at me. I don't know why I have this pair here. I've got it marked out for some reason. I don't trade this pair. USD CAD. Oh yeah, by the way, well done to the guys who took this short on USD CAD. Someone closed the trade for 111R, and I think that's mad. It's actually crazy. So fair play to him. I've got nothing else to cover in this video, so I hope it was useful. But as always, be patient, take your time, and yeah, all the best. Trade safe.